B. Hope all is well. We are back at it again, and our lead this hour comes from 1265 Lombardi Avenue. That's right. Lambeau Field. That was the location of the Thursday night NFL game. A cloudy kickoff, chilly, 26 degrees at the start at Lambeau as Aaron Rodgers and the Packers playing host to the Titans in a Thursday night special with Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit hanging out. Now, I don't know if you watched this or not. We did. This actually was better going in than most of these Thursday night games have been, which have been turds. This was not a turd going in, and the game was pretty much controlled by Tennessee. Ryan Tannehill. Who was that imposter? That's not Ryan Tannehill. That's not the Tannehill I know, the guy that showed up. Tannehill had 333 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Derrick Henry even had a touchdown pass, for God's sakes. And the Titans never trailed. Boat racing the Packers 27-17. Tennessee improves to 7-3. And Green Bay, these aren't your daddy's Packers. They dropped to 4-7 with what can only be described as a disheartening loss. Now, don't bury the lead, my man. All right, we're not going to bury the lead. If you saw the game, you know where I'm going here. This loss included the hometown fans booing Aaron Rodgers. Oh, yeah, it was on like Donkey Kong.
Relax.
And that led to pearl clutching from my colleagues in the media. The faux outrage machine was cranked up several decibels. So let us discuss the question: did the Packer fans cross the line by booing Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau? So I am shaking my head no, and I'm really shaking my head passionately no. I've got Polaroid, Mark Twain, and Wolfish. And we're going to tie all of these things together into a nice, neat package. Now, Aaron Rodgers, let me be very sweet and to the point here. He got what he deserved. When you play well, the crowd goes wild. And when you do the opposite, you get hecklers. That's how that works. It used to be, well, that only happens in Boston or New York or Philadelphia. Well, guess what? In the internet age, that is the industry standard across the board. It's been that way for years. This is not some kind of new revelation. Even in sleepy Green Bay, a place I was lucky enough to go to earlier this year for the first time, out in the hinterlands of the NFL, I say bravo to the Cheeseheads. Bravo! That performance by the Packers, especially in the second half, was unbecoming. It was a pointless endeavor. And the reality is, even in upper Wisconsin, people spend big money on tickets, parking, and concessions. The game was on a school night. That means you got to take off at least part of the day at work, if not the entire day. And I don't know if you know this, not many people actually live in Green Bay. So a lot of the people who go to Packer games travel from all over. So you've got to make the pilgrimage to the frozen tundra. And I say it is your fan right to shout your disapproval. And watching and hearing the Boo Birds serenading Aaron Rodgers and the Packers with the chorus of boo flat. All right, as an old sportscaster say, listen, it was music to my heart. Now, Aaron Rodgers did not seem to enjoy it. He looked genuinely gobsmacked by the reaction. And why not? He's so used to getting his toes sucked, and he was shaken and stirred. Like, whoa, what's going on? I don't understand. Why I'm Aaron Rodgers? I get it. All right, but that was a Polaroid moment, right? And in this Polaroid moment, Rodgers will go to the Packer Hall of Fame, all the glory, all the accolades, we'll get a statue and all that gobbledygook. But in this Polaroid moment, he was bad to the bone. And the team looked hopeless and helpless on defense. And you have this hissing and teasing and taunting going on. But don't worry, Aaron. Everything will be all right. You still got the $42 million guaranteed this year. You got the $150-something million guaranteed, so you're good to go. All right, everything will be okay. You'll be hanging out with Joe Rogan, doing the ayahuasca before you know it. Now, page 2. What did we learn in the big picture about Green Bay from this loss? Well, the obvious answer, I think you don't need me to tell you. I think you're a smart enough person to understand that this was a reality check. For much of the week, if you consume the NFL media, what have the talking heads been trying to shove down our throats? That the downtrodden Packers had a rebirth, the Great Awakening. That win over America's team, those Dallas Cowboys, gave the cheesy gridiron stars a new lease on life. But turns out, as Mark Twain would have said if he was here, reports of the Packers' resurrection were greatly exaggerated, right? Pump the brakes on that, right? And in fact, we have a yellow flag, as in offsides, 5-yard penalty, Green Bay back in the doldrums, miserable. And Aaron Rodgers and the Packer offense producing a grand total of 271 stinking yards on 59 plays. They had 15 first downs the entire game, and Rodgers averaging a puke 5.8 yards per pass. 7 yards per pass is average. 5.8 is Canadian Football League territory. 15 incomplete passes. And it was really the second half. He vanished in the second half. The Packers were right there in the first half. And in the second half, Rodgers was 16 of 28. That's 57%. Averaged 5.4 yards per pass. Had a quarterback rating of 84.3. He was essentially Carson Wentz or Mitch Trubisky. If you didn't know, if you did a blind side-by-side taste test and you put Carson Wentz and Mitch Trubisky and Aaron Rodgers side-by-side, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Garbage. And with a wink and a nod to Alan Lazard, who looked lost, he only caught 5 of 11 targets, and he was not singing from the same song sheet as his quarterback. Now, Christian Watson did have a couple of touchdowns again, so that's a ray of sunshine. I did not expect the encore to be there, and he did play better than I expected in this game. All right, last word here. So let's pivot over to the other side. How does this victory move things along for Ryan Tannehill and the Flameheads from Nashville? So I'll use the word here. I think it's appropriate. This was a wolfish performance. The Titans did not blink. Short week, road game, all the built-in distractions that the media loves so much. Ryan Tannehill played as well as you can humanly expect, considering his skill set. This was, by Ryan Tannehill standards, an oil painting. This was a masterpiece, is what it was. And I did not have that on my bingo card. Now, I did pick the Titans to win. I hope you bet on the game, won a little bit of money. I thought it would be a field goal game. They won by 10, and so be it. But Derrick Henry, whose running ability was held in check, he averaged 3.1 yards per carry. That's nothing spectacular. That's not a Hall of Fame running back. That's a pedestrian performance by your running back. He did have a touchdown pass as well. But on this night, Ryan Tannehill was the light that shined brightest. And as we said, wolfish, ferocious, aggressive, savage. Tannehill, 333 yards, half the sign of the devil. And he averaged 12.3 yards per pass. It was one point in the game where Green Bay gave the ball back to the Titans. Everyone assumed we're going to run the clock out, and they completed a 51-yard pass play down deep inside Green Bay territory, then ran the clock out. But Tannehill completed 81.5% of his passes, 22 of 27. That is the greatest performance of Tannehill's career in terms of completion percentage when attempting 20 or more passes. He's never been better. Never been better. He did have 2 touchdowns. There was one cruddy interception, but that's playoff Tannehill. Passer rating was great. And this is a regular season performance. The Titans had 408 yards of offense. Converted almost 70%. Really, it was over 70% in the red zone. One of their red zone trips that they did not complete was because the clock ran out at the end of the game. They got the ball down inside Green Bay territory deep, right around the 10-yard line, and they just ran the clock out. But head coach Mike Vrabel, here's my advice, unsolicited overnight advice. Mike Vrabel, I got no skin in the game here, but Vrabel needs to get a mason jar and preserve some of that for the playoffs, because the Titans have won 7 of 8. Their only loss was a field goal loss to the Chiefs at Arrowhead, and that's it. Tannehill, in this stretch, Tannehill, he has so many demons, playoff demons. He's unbalanced. He has this playoff neurosis that pops up, and so that's been the weak spot for the Titans. I can go and give you all kinds of numbers here, and I don't think anyone wants to hear that, but he suffers from panic attacks. He poops the bed in the playoffs. Is this year going to be any different? The smart money says no, that we're not getting anything close to this, and the Packers aren't a playoff team, and so you played well against a non-playoff team. That's great, but he has that ability in him, Tannehill, and you're not going to likely get that in the playoffs. But for now, I mean, this was a great, wonderful, glorious night for Ryan Tannehill as a domination situation, as it just tearing up the Green Bay Packers and their defense. All right, it is the Ben Maller Show.